This is Good Morning San Diego.
Attorney General Pam Bondi has released some highly anticipated, well, sort of DOJ documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Joining me now to discuss about what was released and what wasn't released and why everybody's up in arms about this whole deal is criminal defense attorney Vikas Bajaj. Good morning, Vic. Welcome back to KUSI.
Good morning.
I don't want to say it was a nothing burger, but it sure felt like a nothing burger yesterday because I think we were all expecting to see pictures of illegal activities, and all we got was a name of some phone records.
It's almost like going to a real fancy French dinner, right, where you're expecting to be satiated at the first course, and the first course, it's all right, and the second course is better, but by the time the seventh course comes, you're totally bloated and full and completely satiated. I think it's a hard order, a hard demand to say we're going to receive everything right away in the first batch. You know, as a defense attorney, I always tell my clients, if you're going to make a deal with the Department of Justice, if you're going to sit down and talk, if you're going to let them know your side of the story, let them know the whole side of the story. Don't withhold a little bit, because that little bit of insincerity, perhaps misrepresentation, can end up being an umbrella over the entire effort. And that may be what we're dealing with here. A small issue, the lack of providing it, and concealment will lead to an obstruction of justice investigation.
Yeah, but first of all, to me, this case was decided long ago when the FBI raided the Epstein homestead, or whatever, the business, I think it was the home, and they found a treasure trove of security tapes in a locked safe behind a hidden wall. The FBI apparently didn't have the authority to confiscate those tapes, so they came back with a warrant days later, and those tapes are gone. To me, that's the case. Where are those tapes and what's on them?
Well, that may be very well the case, and I'd be hard-pressed to disagree with you, and that perhaps highlights the point that we were discussing earlier, which is the destruction of evidence is obstruction of evidence. And so it's not as though you can't go back and turn back the hands of time to look at who destroyed or concealed or obstructed justice at that point in time. That can all be part of a continuing conspiracy, which is the saving grace for the Department of Justice in this case. It is not something where you look at a statute of limitations or you look at evidence that's lost and forever gone. We're dealing with an ongoing conspiracy, and I bet you there's at least a lady in custody who has a lot to say about that.
You're referring to Giselle Maxwell, I believe.
That's right, yes.
Who was Jeffrey's partner. I have two questions left in our time remaining. One, there's infighting between the DOJ and the FBI. Could you explain what's going on there? Because Pam Bondi is very upset with Kash, Patel and the FBI about some information that was not released to them.
Well, Pam Bondi is clearly upset given her public statements. Kash Patel is similarly upset given his statements to the public.
Are they together, or are they diametrically opposite?
From my perspective, I see them as a union in intent and in their effect. They are both disgruntled at the Department of Justice employees, being the FBI agents, not turning over everything that was asked for by the Attorney General and by Kash Patel. Kash Patel went on public media and said, look, transparency is our mantra. We're going to make sure we find out why this evidence hasn't been turned over, and we're going to start an investigation. So I see them as unified in their intent.
So there are low-ranking members of the DOJ and FBI who are resisting direct orders.
I can't pontificate on that. I can say right now,
like
somebody is obstructing justice by concealing information, according to what Attorney General Bondi has said. That investigation is not going to be overnight. Just like all potential criminal investigations, that will take time. But at the end of the day, the dust will settle. All
right, so my last question to you is, and so in the meantime, we have this list of names that included, I saw Mick Jagger's name, but aren't you doing damage to folks like that who may have visited the island, played a round of golf, or there's guilt by association here, and your name pops up, and it might not even be realistic that you might have ridden on a plane but did nothing wrong.
Right, that's exactly right. But then again, that begs the question: if transparency is the goal, who is the one that has the discretion to pick and choose who's disclosed. I think once transparency is identified as the goal, then everything has to be disclosed, and people can defend themselves as is their right. I don't think there's a causal connection between being on those lists as of right now, those lists being disclosed, and criminality. And everyone has a platform to defend themselves. But if transparency is the goal, Paul, no one can pick and choose what's disclosed.
And what names are disclosed.
Yes.
All right, so this story is to be continued. And I know the left is making a lot of fun of the right now about what's been released so far, but it's still early in the game, you say, early days.
Let the kids play in the sandbox is the way I would look at that. This is an ongoing investigation, and we need to be patient.
Fair enough, Vic. I wish you a safe day, safe weekend, and I'm sure we'll see you on this topic.
Thank you, Paul. It was a pleasure.